April 4th, 1968, Memphis, Tennessee. A single shot rings out across the evening air, and within seconds, one of the most important voices in American history falls silent. In that moment, the world changed. News spread rapidly. Crowds gathered, and a nation already divided was pushed to the edge. But what really happened that day? Was it the act of one man or something more? This is a serious and complex moment in history. In this video, we'll break it down step by step, clearly, respectfully, and without speculation beyond the known facts. To understand what happened, we have to go back. Before Memphis, before the balcony, to a man whose voice was changing a nation. By the 1960s, the civil rights movement had gained national attention. Peaceful protests, speeches, and marches were challenging long-standing systems of inequality. At the center of it all was Martin Luther King Jr., a leader who believed in non-violence, even in the face of hostility. His influence grew rapidly. Millions listened, millions followed, and not everyone was pleased. As his message spread, so did resistance. Protests were met with opposition. Progress came slowly and often at a cost. The entire country was watching. Supporters saw hope, critics saw disruption, and the tension continued to rise. By the late 1960s, King's message had expanded beyond civil rights. He began speaking out against poverty and war. This shift brought new attention and new criticism. His voice was now challenging powerful systems on multiple fronts. With growing influence came increased pressure. Surveillance, criticism, and tension surrounded him constantly. In early 1968, King traveled to Memphis to support striking sanitation workers. The strike highlighted economic inequality, something King had begun to focus on more heavily. Tensions in Memphis were high. Demonstrations had turned chaotic. The situation was unpredictable. Despite the risks, King remained committed. He planned to lead another march. On April 3rd, King delivered what would become one of his most famous speeches. He spoke about the future, about challenges ahead, and about not fearing what might come. I may not get there with you, but we as a people will get to the promised land. The next day began like any other. Plans were made, meetings scheduled. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. King stayed at the Lorraine Motel, a place that would soon become part of history. As the day continued, King prepared for the evening ahead. In the early evening, he stepped out onto the balcony. He spoke briefly with colleagues below. A normal moment, just seconds before everything changed. At 6:01 p.m., a single gunshot echoed. King collapsed. People rushed forward. Confusion and panic spread instantly. He was rushed to the hospital. Doctors worked quickly, but the damage was severe. Shortly after, the announcement was made. Martin Luther King Jr. had died. The news spread across the country. Shock, grief, anger. A nation struggled to process what had just happened. In the hours following the assassination, confusion turned into shock. Cities across the United States reacted almost immediately. Protests and unrest spread across multiple cities. Grief quickly mixed with anger. Political leaders addressed the nation, calling for calm during one of its most difficult moments. Within days, authorities identified a suspect, James Earl Ray. The investigation moved quickly, focusing on Ray's movements before and after the assassination. A rifle was recovered nearby, believed to be the weapon used in the shooting. Authorities traced Ray's path across multiple states, building a timeline of his escape. Ray eventually fled the country, triggering an international manhunt. He was captured 2 months later in London. Ray was charged with the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. To avoid the death penalty, Ray pleaded guilty. Days later, he attempted to withdraw his plea, claiming he was part of a larger conspiracy. This claim sparked doubt. Many began questioning whether the full story had been told. The official conclusion remained clear. Ray acted alone. But for many, questions remained unanswered. Over the years, multiple investigations revisited the case. Some suggested broader involvement, while others supported the original conclusion. Public opinion remained divided. Trust in official explanations began to weaken. The assassination left a lasting mark on the nation. Despite the loss, the civil rights movement continued. King's message of non-violence and equality remained influential. Millions mourned his death, marking one of the most emotional periods in modern history. The impact was felt worldwide. Debate over the circumstances of his death continued for decades. Official investigations consistently supported the lone gunman conclusion. Others continued to explore alternative explanations. The truth, as often in history, remains complex. The events of April 4th, 1968 remain a defining moment. It was not just the loss of a leader, but a turning point for a nation. And in the years that followed, his legacy would continue to shape history. Decades later, the impact of Martin Luther King Jr. can still be felt. Laws changed, society evolved, but the struggle for equality continued. His story is taught in schools, remembered in speeches, and honored across the country. A national holiday now honors his legacy. He became a symbol of peaceful resistance and lasting change. Yet questions about his death remain part of the historical conversation. History often leaves us with answers and uncertainty. What remains undeniable is the impact of his life and work. His voice, though silenced, continues to echo through time. The events of that day changed history, but they did not end the movement. Moments like these remind us how fragile progress can be, and how powerful a single voice can become. Remembering history helps us understand the present. This was not just history, it was personal, human, and deeply felt. The story does not end here. It continues through every generation. The nation continues to reflect on that day and what it means. Seeking truth remains an important part of understanding history. His legacy remains one of the most powerful in modern history. And while questions may remain, his impact is undeniable. History remembers moments like this, not just for how they ended, but for what they changed. Thank you for watching.